Hi guys, just a quick video about our colour grade my FPV videos. I've had literally hundreds of people ask me how I do them. Well, actually it's been a couple that's asked actually. A lot of people assume it's really hard, takes for ages, takes forever. I just can't be bothered doing it, so I just want to show how easy it is. Once you've done it a couple of times, it's just super fast. It's going to take longer this time, obviously, because I'm trying to show you what I do as well, and I'm not the world's best teacher, to be honest. Right, well, I've got my footage loaded in already from today. Nice bit of footage from Woods today. First thing I do, if I try playing it, I've just loaded it in. If I try playing it, you'll see. Well, actually it's playing alright. And it shouldn't be. Anyway. Yeah, normally I just stutter like mad because it's 2.7k and it's, see, that froze a bit. See, it's stuttering there. It's just a pain for editing when it's doing that. So first thing I do, this button here, toggle proxies, make sure that's clicked on. Then I'll go over to this side where video is, right click, proxy, create proxies. These are my settings I use for my proxies. All a proxy is a low can't get my words out, a low resolution version of the footage you've already got, and it plays back the lower resolution footage in your preview window, just so it can play it smoothly rather than it being full resolution. So they're my settings. Just click OK and it should pop up with media encoder. It's just popping up now. There we go, that's popped up. There it is. I can leave that in background. That's one earlier that I stopped. That's progress bar there. It's going along frame by frame, and it's just re-rendering the whole video in a low resolution just for me to work on. When I finally go to render it at the end, it'll use the full resolution to render it. So we can leave that one in the background. Come back to Premiere Pro, and then we can start colour grading. If you look at footage at the moment, it looks horrible. I film in flat colour. If you want my GoPro settings, they're all in my description. I usually put them in descriptions in all my videos if people are interested. The main settings to look for is the GoPro flat colour profile, which makes it look like this horrible washed out, low contrast, quite low saturation as well image, which looks horrible, but it's what you actually want because you get a lot more detail using flat colour profile. You get a lot more detail in shadows, etc. Stuff tends not to be so blown out, skies and stuff like that, and you just got more information to work with. But it does need colour grading. Obviously if you use GoPro colour for your profile, it does it all for you, but I never like the results with that. And just to say, I used to use LUTs. I know a lot of people use LUTs, lookup tables, to colour grade the footage. It's quick and easy, you just drag it in or whatever. But I used them for quite a while, stopped using them just because I didn't like the colours. Each time you film, your lighting's different. Every time you go somewhere, colours are different because of lighting being different. And then you apply a LUT that's supposed to be a fix for everything, and obviously it's not. I didn't like the way the colours were coming out, so I stopped using them a while back. And once I started colour grading myself, I just found how easy it was and how quick it is as well. It's a little bit, takes a bit more time obviously than just using a LUT, but I think the results are worth it, to be honest. Right, still doing it background. Making a proxy, which is fine, which means we can't really play it back smoothly yet, so it's going to look horrible. So while that's doing, we can't edit really because it's just going to jerk about all over the place until it's finished creating the proxy. But we can actually start colour grading already. So first thing I do is make an adjustment layer rather than alter the colours on the footage. It just makes it easier if you want to change anything or start afresh. It just makes it a lot easier if you make an adjustment layer, and then all your colour grading is done on that layer and passes down onto your footage. So we'll click on there. Adjustment layer. I went blind for a minute then. Yeah, adjustment layer is what we want. Leave all them as they are, because everything's set to what your project's set to already. I'm running at 30 frames a second. Well, 29.97, same thing. I don't like 60 FPS for my videos. I think it looks unrealistic and game-like. They look a lot more cinematic if you're running 30 frames a second, especially if you've got some blur as well. Even though I do film at 60 FPS, just because sometimes, well, quite often actually, I like to run my footage at half speed, just to slow it down for some slow-mo. Again, I find it looks more cinematic and it just looks nicer, I think, most of the time. It's very rare I do full speed stuff. Most of my stuff I do half speed. People usually think I can actually fly that slowly through stuff and keep it smooth, and yeah, I can't. I just run it at half speed, and like I say, it just looks nicer. So just OK that. If you look over to the left, it's put my adjustment layer there. So now I'll just drag that over to my footage, over the top of my footage. Anything above anything else is going to affect it. So my adjustment layer's above my footage, it's going to affect my footage. So if I just grab end of that, drag it to end of my footage. So anything I do on this adjustment layer, colour wise, or anything else to be honest, is going to trickle down into my footage as well. So we make sure that we've got that highlighted. We're going to go to colour, and I use Lumetri Scopes. The Parade RGB is the one I use. You can change these about, waveform, etc. That's all your colours together. It's just how bright and how dark everything is. But I like to do it all just from colours. Straight away, if I look at these graphs, obviously it's your red, green and blue. They don't want to be 100 to start with. So straight away you want to knock them down. In fact, I've just missed a step. If we go to basic correction first, and we'll put some contrast on straight away, because like I say, GoPro flat colour has very little contrast. It looks horrible. So we'll put some contrast in. So if we click that on and off, see difference. If I'm just clicking my adjustment layer on and off, just show it difference. So that's off, horrible, washed out, on, a bit more contrasty, looks better. But we don't want all these values at 100, just because you end up with some clipping. I'm terrible at explaining it, but you just don't want it. So what we're going to do is go to curves. We're going to alter the colour curves. First, we'll just alter everything, so it's RGB all mixed together, all the colours. So we're on white, and I just want to grab end of this if I can. The computer's running like crap today. Right, there we go. Just click on end of my curve. Well, it's a line at the moment, but we call them curves. Slowly drag it down. I'm trying to get everything to 90 or thereabouts. There we go. Everything's at 90, which is good. And same again, you don't want stuff right down at 0, because it's just going to be too dark. Ideally, the minimum you want is around 10. We'll leave it there. Blue's down about 10. Red and green obviously around about 20, green a bit lower. And what I'm trying to do is get the red, green and blue to be more or less equal. I've no idea why, but that's apparently what you're supposed to do. And hopefully, as you'll see, it makes a huge difference. It's like a starting point. Then if you want to start getting a bit artistic and maybe make stuff look a bit more sunny or a bit cooler, then you can do that afterwards. But to start with, is like a base starting point. You want all three colours to be more or less the same strength. So we'll start with red. Excuse me. We want to get red down to around about the same as what blue is, which is just above the 10 line. So we'll click on red. That's a red line, and it's the bottom we're adjusting. So grab the bottom, slowly fetch it down a bit until the bottom, see, that's about the same as the blue now, more or less. And then same with green. Click on green, grab the bottom, drag it down a bit. There we go. So they look about the same. It looks like red's, I don't know, this patch here is a bit higher than these ones. So I know it's only slight. And we'll have a quick look. We'll turn curves off and on and see how it looks. That's where I'm off. See, it's looking quite red to me. Turn them on. Everything's looking a bit more neutral, which is what we want to start with. So that's looking better already. And again, if I turn that adjustment layer off that I've been editing colours on, that's way off, and that's way on. To me, there's quite a big difference. One thing I'm not too happy about is horrible white sky, because we're in woods, and obviously everything's a bit dark because of all trees, etc. Tends to blow your sky out. There's not an awful lot you can do with that. You can have a fiddle about with your curves, to maybe turn highlights down a touch. It's not going to make a huge difference though, to be honest. Try a bit more contrast. Right, I'm quite happy with that. Again, we'll have a look. That's where it off. That's what we started with. That's the raw flat colour. And that's where it on. To me, there's a massive difference. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, we just leave GoPro colour on." They do the same thing. Well, to me, it don't. It's just not the same. I prefer doing it this way. And that's more or less done. We don't have to make too many changes. Then, if you want to, we'll go back. We're already in basic correction here. You can alter your temperature if you want it to look a little bit warmer. Maybe turn it up a bit. And see it boosting red at the side. Maybe turn it down a bit. So I quite like that neutral. So that's at blue, so that's there. Now we'll check if proxies are finished. Yep, it's finished doing proxy. We could close that, so hopefully, if we go back to editing now, it should play smoothly. I'll just drag this down so it's a bit bigger. There we go. See, that's playing perfectly smooth now, which is ideal for editing, because then if you want to clip bits out, grab bits, move them around. So if you scroll through, perfectly smooth. I'll show you that with proxies off. Turn proxies off. So now it's using the full resolution of the footage. See, I'm moving slider, and it's not even going to wobble then. It's not even going to think about it. It did a bit then. Yeah, but it's not happy. It's jerking about. We'll turn proxies back on. Perfect. So that's brilliant now for editing. Be a doddle to edit. And then, see, like I said earlier, even though I render in 30 FPS, I usually shoot in 60 FPS, so I can run stuff at half speed. So, if I just play a bit, so that's kind of speed we're looking at. That's normal speed. That's how it was actually filmed. So then, all I do is I right click on my footage. Where have we gone? Speed duration. I'm blind today, I really am. Speed duration, at the moment it's on 100%. All you do, knock it down to 50. Play it back. And that's at half speed. Which, like I say, I normally prefer, especially places like this in woods. You want it looking nice and cinematic, so I just prefer it. You get to see more rather than everything rushing by, which sometimes is cool, obviously. But you just get to take it all in. It's nice and relaxing. It's the kind of thing I like. Another thing I like to do, if we go into effects, I like to put a crop on as well. Crop, transform, crop. Again, I can just chuck that on my adjustment layer rather than doing anything with my footage that I might have to delete later on or alter. I put everything on my adjustment layer, and then I know exactly where it is if I want to change it. Go back to editing, still got my adjustment layer selected. Scroll down to crop, top and bottom obviously. Side crop would look a bit weird. Normally I like about 16%. Top and bottom. There we go. And another thing I like to do sometimes, not with footage like I've done today, where I'm not going along ground at all, I'm kind of head height, so I don't really need to adjust that. But what I could do, say I'm shooting across a field or something as low as I can, and I want to emphasise how low I'm flying. If I just left it as that, all this down here you're missing, which is obviously the lowest point of your footage. So what I'd normally do, go to my footage. This is one thing you can't do on adjustment layer. This has got to be done on your footage. Position. I'd alter these. See, at the moment it's completely centered. So it's this one here, which is your Y coordinates for your footage. So you can move it up and down, you see. And because we're using bars, I could move it right up. Let's have a look. See, that's above the black bar. If I put it just below and then play back, you probably can't tell there, but I've actually, it looks as if I'm flying lower than I were before. And then, I hope this makes sense. And then if I change it, go the other way, I want to make it look like I'm flying higher. There we go. So it's showing more at top at footage, so it looks slightly higher. It's not a massive difference obviously, but when you're flying inches front floor, when you do that, it can make a massive difference and make your footage look completely different. Sometimes you can completely cut the sky out altogether, so it looks like you're super low and as if you're running a much lower angle on your GoPro, and vice versa. If you want to emphasise sky, not sure why you'd want to, but if you did, just drag it down, it looks as if you've got a bit more angle on your GoPro. Obviously it only works if you've got black bars, because otherwise you're going to end up with a black bar at top or bottom. So we'll just centre that. Like I say, I'm not bothered about that on this one. And that's about it. And then I'll show me render settings. I'll just show you adjustment layer off again while it's playing along. So that's the original footage, played at half speed. Looks horrible. Well, I think it looks horrible. But again, there's no right and wrong, obviously. It's all down to personal taste. I mean, some people might think, well, yeah, that looks perfect. I don't need to do anything with it. And John's just ruined it by changing out colours and putting stupid bars on, which is fair enough. But it's my footage, and to be honest, I don't make videos for other people. I make them for myself. So if you like it, it's cool. If you don't like it, that's cool. Not bothered. So anyway, that's the original GoPro flat colour profile. Play back at half speed, then turn adjustment layer on, and I think that's quite a dramatic difference. I think it looks, even though it's the same footage obviously, I think it looks completely different. Again, turn it off. Horrible brown, orange, low contrast. Turn it on. Straight out of Apocalypse Now. It's fantastic. So that's about it. That's all I do. Obviously then I edit stuff, etc. Most of the time I don't often do like a full pack video that's unedited. I do like to edit. it's been quite a while since I've done full pack videos. So that's about it. So then, it's assuming if I'd edited everything, I'm happy with that. Yeah, that looks fantastic. Then I'd go to my render. I'll show my render settings and why I do what I do. One other thing as well, I mean, if you do check my GoPro settings, you'll see that I'm running 2.7K, which is quite common. The only difference between, as far as I know, what I run and most other people, I run 60 FPS, which I've already said is because I like most at time doing slow-mo. So I render at 30 FPS and put my video at half speed. If I did film at 30 FPS and then thought, oh, I want to do it at half speed, I put it at half speed and rendered at 30 FPS, it'd look horrible because it'd be jerking. Because it'd be playing a frame and then, well, playing the same frame twice each time, if that makes sense. So it'd just look jerky and horrible. That's why quite often if you see people that try and do slow-mo on their FPV videos, it just looks jerky as anything because they've got frames missing. You've got to have, in your footage, you've got to have a frame for every frame that you're rendering. Which seems pretty obvious, but a lot of people don't seem to get it. Otherwise you're just repeating frames, and that's when you're going to get a stutter. Anyway, another setting as well, I film in 4:3 as well rather than 16:9. That's just for because I use Real Steady Go and it prefers that setting. Obviously if you're not using Real Steady Go, you should always be using Superview. It makes a world of difference. If you're not using Superview, there's no point filming, to be honest, if you're not using Real Steady Go. I forgot what we're doing. Oh yeah. So now if we're going to render, we'll go to export media. I'll show me render settings, and I render at 4K 60 megabits per second. Even though I've shot at 2.7, I do render at 4K and upload at 4K, just because it then fools YouTube into using a higher bit rate, and your bit rate is just how much information's being thrown at your screen per second. And obviously most of the stuff that we film has got loads of detail whizzing past. Usually, well, I don't have it whizzing past, but sometimes. And when you see videos on YouTube of FPV stuff, we've got blurry grass, etc. It's just because there's too much information. The bit rate's not high enough, and YouTube's not playing it fast, playing it back with a high enough bit rate. So if you upload at 4K, for whatever reason, YouTube use a higher bit rate. I believe even for if people are watching in 1080, it uses a higher bit rate, and it'll stop you getting just blurry grass and stuff. If there's large areas on ground, especially that are a similar colour, green or brown or whatever, if it's a low bit rate, YouTube will just merge it into like a messy blob of blurriness. It just looks horrible. So I do it 4K, 60 megabits per second. I find that's high enough, so you don't get any blurring or anything. Rest of my settings are just same, like I say. 30 FPS, well 29.97 FPS, which is same as 30. And that's about it. If you have any questions, just put them in comments. I hope it's been helpful. I hope people are seeing out just how easy it is to do. Yeah, it's easy to just throw a LUT on, like I said, or use GoPro Colour even. GoPro Colour's fine a lot at time, but I think when they designed GoPro Colour, they had sunny days in California in mind rather than horrible dark dingy days that we often get in UK. And in my experience, GoPro Colour just makes a mess of it. Everything like shadows just end up looking too dark, and skies end up too bright. because the ground's so dark and it just makes a mess if you're not living in sunny California filming your FPV videos. So that's about it. I hope it's helped, and thanks for watching. Cheers guys.